Hi, and welcome back to Ask a Pennsylvania Dutchman. My name is Chris LaRose, and this here is Douglas Maidenford, our resident Pennsylvania Dutchman. Wie bist du?
Ich bin gut wie alles fort. Hush and Frog, do you have a question for us?
Ich hop and frog. Bist ready, boo?
Always ready.
Always. Alright, well, our question comes in from William E. Seamans III of Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York?
But originally from Scranton and Dalton, PA.
Okay.
He says, Dear Mr. PA Porkchop.
Is that a joke?
I don't know.
I don't get that.
I don't get it. He says, you got the drunk drawer, the cellar clean out. PA roads make you an alert driver. The Kentucky rifle is really a PA rifle. But there are still two questions that you haven't answered for me
So
yet.
he learned all that stuff from us.
He learned that from us.
That's great, but he still has two questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What to do with wood stove ashes, and how often should you shower or bathe?
Well,
that's a deep question.
Wood stove ashes. There's nothing culturally that I know of. What did you do with your wood stove ashes? You grew up with wood heat.
Yeah, I grew up with wood heat for 27 of my 30 years on this earth, and I was always in charge of the wood stove ashes. So my dad always had me scoop them out, and I'd go dump them in the stream bank.
Okay.
And
I don't know if you're supposed to do that.
Well, I don't know. I did it anyway. You know, another thing I did, this was cool. When I was a kid, my best friend and I, Cody, we would make these movies where we'd have like little action scenes and stuff. Well, we watched this Steven Spielberg thing where when he was a kid, he made these little explosions out of wood stove ashes. Not wood stove ashes, like flour and little... like a lever and fulcrum, and he put a balloon under it.
Okay.
So you run by and you stomp on it and it pops and it has a big floof of that stuff. Well, we used a whole bunch of wood stove ashes for that. So
you did that?
Yeah, we made little action movies, like 10-minute action movies, with a bunch of those little wood stove ash bombs. And then when I was a kid, when we were doing these movies, we'd fill up little bags full of wood stove ashes, and we'd throw them up in the air and let them come down, and poof, it'd send wood.
You had a very imaginative childhood.
Oh, we sure did. There's so many things you could do with wood stove ashes, Doug.
You're telling the people ideas.
Yeah, I mean, like, as long as
in typical Pennsylvania Dutch fashion, we're reusing something that's already used.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if you don't have many toys as a kid, you know, you got a stick, you got a rock. I mean,
and a bunch of wood stove ashes.
Wood stove ashes were a big deal. I mean, I used to look forward for the whole week.
Saturday morning when you cleaned the wood stove.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh boy,
you had all these ideas all week long.
I could probably fill 4 or 5 little, paper bags full of this stuff and throw them around the yard. And
what'd you do in the summer when there was no wood stove ashes?
I was bored as hell. Yeah. Oh yeah, but when
winter came, oh boy, then you made up for it.
Sometimes I'd save them.
What do you mean?
I'd keep, Dad's like, oh, go dump the wood stove ashes out, and they're like, well, I'd dump half the bucket out, but I'd go put the other half of the bucket in the garage and wait till spring so I could actually film the movie that we were working on.
Oh,
a little short, yeah, it was good stuff. What I'm saying is, Doug, as long as you have an imagination, wood stove ashes are limitless potential.
I didn't grow up with a wood stove. We grew up with a coal stove, so we had coal ashes, the cinders.
Oh, that's easy.
And
I can't tell you how many cords of wood I was forced to move as a kid. I'm telling you, it was probably 5-6 cords of wood every winter.
It made you a better person.
It made me grump a lot, too.
When in the winter time, we'd throw them out in the barnyard when it snowed, so you'd have traction for your cars and stuff. That's how we reused our coal stove ashes. I didn't make I didn't make cinder bombs like you did. I wasn't creative, I guess.
We would pour ours in the driveway sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's probably something now you can do organically with them. We'd have to look that up. I don't know, can you compost them? I don't know.
I think it depends on the wood you burn.
Probably. I don't know anything about chemistry.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I don't know much about chemistry.
Me neither.
How's the rest of that song go? I don't know much about chemistry. Is it biology? I don't know much about the French I took. But I do know that I love you.
Oh, Doug.
And I know that if you love me too. What a wonder. That song. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. That made me think of that. Hey, second question. What
was the second question?
About how often do I take a bath or shower?
Oh, now that's a complex question. It all depends on what you're doing.
It's based on the individual.
Yeah.
Some people can go weeks. Well, no, they could.
Yeah.
Days.
I guess as long as you ain't smelly, that's all right.
I don't think that's necessarily it either. As long as you can stand yourself.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't matter about the other people around you.
Well, I think it depends on what you're doing, because if you're bopping around the house maybe once every 3-4 days or something, but if you're out mucking, pig stalls,
yeah, you should do it
twice a day. I got a friend that showers probably 3 or 4 times a day, but
I'm gonna say something right now about this. I've been thinking about this more than just this question. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna say it.
Uh-oh.
As Americans, I think we shower and bathe too much.
I've heard that before too, yeah, because what is the average for most people? Once a day?
Oh, I would imagine once a day.
Mm-hmm.
But do we really need it?
Well, Europeans are like every other day.
No, you can't make comments like that.
We
don't know that. Oh, you don't know that for sure. I just think, if it's a day that you're not doing anything, take a day off.
Yeah.
Save water.
Yeah.
And soap.
Yeah,
and shampoo.
Well, like I was saying, I really think it depends on what you're doing.
3-4 times a day is too much.
Well, no, but
it ain't good for your skin.
Well, yeah, but he's also a tree trimmer, so he climbs up trees and gets all sweaty and covered with sap.
Do your work, and then get your shower.
Well, I mean, he does that, gets all covered with sap and stuff, so he takes a shower. Then he does the gym, a shower.
There you go.
Then he goes to the gym, so he takes a shower before the gym. A shower before the gym. So he doesn't get all sap and sweat on stuff, and he takes one after the gym.
Takes a what?
A shower.
That's better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, that makes sense to me to do it,
Okay, that's a unique situation. Ain't everybody out there climbing trees and then doing jujitsu and all that in the same day.
Yeah, well.
But I think, I guess it's up to you. As long as you can stand it. Some people do get a little ripe, but if you're not out in public, what the heck's it matter?
Yeah, if you're just out in the field, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Jump in the creek.
Jump in the creek. That's an idea. Yeah. You could be creative in how we take showers.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was this guy's name? Doug? No, that was the last question. I don't even remember.
I think it was Doug. I don't know the code to get into the Brilliant box there.
I don't tell him all the secrets.
Yeah.
Whoever said we're PA pork chop. I remember that much.
PA pork chop. What is that?
I don't know. But I suggest you shower only when you need it.
Well,
boy, that's a strong
How are they gonna know when they need it, though?
Oh,
that's what this poor fella. He's been waiting 3 or 4 days to figure out the answer.
You know when you need it.
That's true.
You know when you need it. And if you don't know when you need it, then you probably need it.
Like when I was a kid and throwing those wood stove ashes all over the yard, I needed it often. Because they wouldn't let me back in the house.
Yeah, well, you were a schmutzig little Schniggelfritz, too.
I still have clothing
with the wood ashes on?
With the wood ashes on it and little holes burned in it because I didn't get all the burning embers out.
Didn't Smokey the Bear teach? You were playing with live embers?
Live embers, yeah.
Would you think that would be even cooler on camera? You see the little sparks fly and all that stuff?
Damn right they would be, yeah.
That was dumb.
No, well, I'm still here to tell about it.
What about your friend that came over all the time?
Well, we don't
talk about
him anymore.
Oh, yumma yay.
He had it rough. He was the test dummy for those.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep those questions coming, and if you think you need a shower, you probably should take one. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
And let us know what creative ways you reuse your wood ash.
Well, that's the thing. How many people even have wood ashes anymore?
There's a lot of people that still heat with wood.
I miss it. When I was a kid, I could not stand when my old man was like, hey, get out of bed, we gotta move firewood. And I'm like, So we'd have a mound of firewood, 3 or 4 people tall, and we'd be...
That's a lot of wood.
And my brother and I would be out there grabbing this firewood and stuffing it.
So you had morning wood.
We had morning after wood and evening wood.
Oh, okay.
So we'd be out in the yard taking all this firewood and stuffing it through a tiny little hole into the cellar.
Doing a little work.
All
and
day
you didn't
long,
like that. You didn't like a little work.
It was more firewood than you could move in a day.
Were you warm?
No, I was not. See, that's the thing. Is the fire, it was warm when you were next to the wood stove, but if you were up on the second floor, I mean, it was still, 54 degrees.
Was the old man like Scrooge? He wouldn't put more wood on the fire unless it absolutely needed it.
Yeah, he was...
That made you strong.
It sure did. It made me complain a lot, too, but...
Well, that hasn't changed.
But, that's the other thing, is the wood stove was a bit of a really cultural significance for us, because... That's where my dad and I used to spend most of our time.
See, you're complaining about all this, and
well, I was complaining about it back then. What I'm saying now is,
you didn't know what you had.
I kind of miss chopping firewood now. And then when we had this wood stove, we'd be down in the basement, we'd be shooting a breeze, talking about stuff, feeding the fire.
Yep.
And I'd be collecting the wood stove ashes.
Let us know what you do with your wood ashes. Maybe we missed something. Maybe there's something you can do cool other than making awesome little videos like this guy did when he was a kid.
Yeah, there's fun stuff.
I'd love to see some of those.
Sometimes, if you had wood stove ashes and you had a friend that was coming over and you knew that they were, didn't have any fancy clothing that they're going to get ruined, you could run by and throw it on them. Oh my God. Jeez. And then you'd have wood stove ash fights in the backyard. Doug, I'm telling you, there's so many things you could do with that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the fun days. You could get away with that when you were a kid. Now, like when you're 30 years old, you can't throw wood stove ashes on people.
Yeah, I would recommend not doing that. Yeah.
But when you're 17, it was fun,
Hey, if you have a question, ask us, and we'll try and answer it.
And if anybody wants to have a wood stove ash fight, I'm game.
I'm not. I'm okay. Till next time, keep the questions coming, and...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was distracted by
take a shower, and...
I was thinking about all the wonderful things. And Mock Scoot. Why, if you have a question, you have to email us at busterpa@yahoo.com.